يا آل نعمة وهبني.
It's Benami with a promise here on the Afternoon Jam Radio Al-Ansar 90.4 FM Durban 105.6 Pietermaritzburg. You can catch us around the world on alansar.org.za, and also you can log on to Facebook and see us there as we are on Facebook Live. Now, the official start of the South African Revenue Service 2023 filing season for individuals and trusts commenced on the 7th of July. Now, while this is a break from tradition in that the season normally commences on the first day of July, in fact, SARS started a week earlier on the 30th of June to issue notifications to taxpayers informing them that they had been auto-assessed. Taxpayers are able to check if they qualify for the auto-assessment via the SARS online query service functionality, which is available on the SARS website. Now, joining us this afternoon to discuss this further is the Manager of Taxation at SARS in South Africa. That's Tusane Mnyiandu. He specializes in tax compliance and tax consulting. Good afternoon and welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, and welcome to the listeners.
Absolute pleasure having you with us in studio today. Now, when is the tax season and how long does it run?
So the tax season normally starts on the 1st of July.
Okay.
This year, 2023, it officially started on the 7th of July, 8 p.m. So that was the official start, but you could say that it already started on the 1st of July, because from that point onwards, there was already auto-assessments. You could still file returns. Mm-hmm. So it runs for a period of about 3 months. So it runs from the beginning of July up until the end of October. Mm. So it's two parts, actually. There's taxpayers that we call provisional taxpayers. So for those taxpayers which we call provisional taxpayers, it runs from now July until the end of about, I think, around the 24th of January. And for those who are not provisional taxpayers, it runs up until October. Now, you'll ask yourself, what is the difference between the two? So between provisional taxpayers are those that they make income outside of normal employment, for example. So that means that they must pay, they make a provisional payment now at the end of August, and then again at the end of February. But then you get normal taxpayers that receive an IRP5 for their normal workers. So those are not provisional taxpayers per se, because they are already prepaying their tax through what we call the pay-as-you-earn system.
Now, you mentioned auto-assessments. What exactly is that? So
auto-assessment it's simple for automatic assessment. Okay, so what we are saying is that the South African Revenue Service uses technology. As you know, there's AI now, there's machine learning and so on. So what it does, it collects information from different institutions, including your employers. You've got your medical aid providers, you've got your retirement annuity funds. So it collects information from there on what you have been earning and what your expenses were in the previous tax period. Because when you look at the tax year, it starts from the 1st of March until the last day of February. So what we are looking at right now is the year that has ended at the end of February. Okay. So between the end of February and the beginning of July, SARS collects that information from these different parties, and from there they are able to then say that this is how much you owe. This is how much you owe for the year, or this is how much needs to be given back to you, and in that way they are able to assess what your tax liability is. So that is what we call auto assessment in a nutshell.
Okay, but when does a person receive a refund?
A person receives a refund when you have prepaid your tax more than what you're supposed to pay. So how does that happen? So if, for example, your employer takes from you what we call pay as you earn, they take more than what they were supposed to take. It then means that, let's say, for example, your tax liability for a year is going to be 100,000. So if they take 120,000, it means that they've taken more. So that means then you will then be in a refund position.
Okay.
Also, if when we talk about provisional taxpayers, if you have made provisional tax payments in August and in September, and in February, you've made more than what you're supposed to make, then you are in a refund position. So it means when we do the assessment and balance the scales, we say that this is what you were supposed to pay for the year, this is what you actually paid, so you paid more, and that is when you receive a refund.
So when would someone need to pay into SARS?
So the opposite then becomes true,
right?
That if you were supposed to pay 100,000, then you only paid 90,000. It means that when we do, or when the South African Revenue Service does the assessment, it says that actually you owe us, therefore you must pay in. Okay. So what the tax system does is to try and make sure that by the time that you are supposed to pay over to SARS, you have already prepaid. So as I said, if you're an employee, there's what you call pay as you earn. So each and every month you are prepaying towards what we think is going to be your debt at the end of the year. And if you have got other businesses, if you're running a business, for example, you then estimate your income and you put your provisional payment, the first one, you put your second provisional payment, and then at that point then we say, okay, this is how much you're supposed to pay. You paid less, it means that you must do a top-up. So what is important also is that when you have done your assessments after the second provisional tax and you see that you might actually be owing SARS, there's a third provisional payment that you can make so that you are not in an owing position.
Yeah, what you're saying. But what do I do if I've been auto-assessed?
So if you have been auto-assessed, you look at your return, you look at the information that is at your disposal. So your employer is by law supposed to give you your RP5. Then your medical aid will give you also the medical tax certificate. Your retirement annuity fund will also give you a certificate from there. If you look at that information and you look at the return and you're fine, then in this year there's nothing that you need to do.
Right.
Okay, but if you look at that information and you see that there's a discrepancy and there's something that you want to change, you then actually have to file the ITR 12 so that you give SARS the information that they don't have, and then they are able to assess the information and then be able to come to a conclusion.
Now, there's a big change for SARS auto assessments in 2023. What are these changes?
The two notable changes is that you are not able to edit what the auto assessment is saying. So the auto assessment is there, and you are not able to say I accept or I decline. What is happening is that it's already there. If you agree with it, there's no further steps that you need to take.
Right.
But if you don't agree with it, then you can change it. The second one is that initially last year, for example, you had 40 days for you to accept the auto assessment before it became final.
Right.
Now the period is open for you up until the 23rd of October, like everybody else. So those are the changes that have come through, and that's the debate that we are having to say, is it good, is it bad? But from where we are sitting, we are saying that the extension is good. Perhaps the inability to edit your return is where we are saying that maybe SARS needs to give taxpayers an option to accept or to not accept the assessment. Yeah.
But do you not think with the auto assessments, this is taking away the taxpayers' rights?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
It is actually forcing the taxpayer to look into their tax affairs. So you are the one that is supposed to go and look at the assessment and be able to say that the assessment is correct. Because at the end of the day, the responsibility to file the correct assessment lies on you. So it's not taking, it can be looked at as if they are taking away the taxpayer's right, but in actual fact, they are actually enhancing the taxpayer's rights to ensure that their returns are submitted on time. Because it happens that some taxpayers, they don't actually file their returns. So you find that SARS is sitting with a registry of taxpayers without filing their returns, which is also against the law. So having that information and being able to auto-assess you and using machine learning and all the available technology is actually good, and it's not taking away taxpayers' rights. The issue that some of our colleagues were highlighting was the refunds that were coming in even before you were able to look at the assessment. So that is, I think, an issue that SARS will take up and maybe look into in the next filing season, to say that let them not release refunds before the official start of the tax season, and even before people have had a chance to look at the return and either change the information that is there or just leave the assessment as it is.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much for that very informative discussion.
Thank you very much.
That's Mr. Tusane Mnyiandu, who's the manager of taxation at Mazars in South Africa, talking to us about the new taxing system. Stay with us here on the Afternoon Jam. It's Radio Al Ansar.